Before I begin, I'd like to share something I read today. It's important to hit the pause button occasionally to appreciate the cast of characters who brush you off, build you up, and remind you to laugh. So whether you roll with the rogues or saints, take a moment to raise a glass with the friends that make life's crazy journey all worthwhile. Salud. According to recent reporting out of Canada, there's an upcoming trial date in regard to the Project Alliance case, which is projected to begin on November 16, 2026, and expected to run through May of 2027. Following his June 2025 arrest, Leonardo Rizzuto and his number two, Stefano Sollecito, and others are charged with first-degree murder for the 2011 murder of Lorenzo Lopresti, who was killed on October 24, 2011, while in his condo in Saint Laurent, as well as multiple conspiracy to murder charges involving organized crime figures between 2011 and 2019. One key cooperating witness in the Project Alliance investigation is Frederic Silva, former hitman linked to the Rizzuto clan and the Hells Angels. Silva provided extensive information on the Rizzuto organization after he began cooperating in 2022 following his 2019 arrest. At the time, he was on Quebec's most wanted list and charged with several homicides and attempted murders. In 2021, Silva stood trial and was convicted. After those convictions were upheld, and while serving 4 life sentences, he began cooperating. Consequently, his revelations led to the arrest of Rizzuto and others. It's been stated that Silva is the highest paid special witness in Quebec history. However, in Canada, cooperating witnesses are not paid. In exchange for his cooperation, he can receive sentence adjustments, modification of parole eligibility, as well as consolidating those sentences. Presently, he's being housed in a high-security protective custody unit that's apart from the general population. He'll need special transport, which consists of secure movements to and from court, as well as constant guarding, the sealing of facilities during his movements, and extra court security. He's expected to be testifying for weeks. And if at some point he receives time served for only just a few years, once released, he'll receive a new identity, living assistance, and the basic necessities. Despite Silva's claim of carrying out hits for the Rizzuto clan, the defense lawyers view him as the weakest witness and claim without him, there is no case. He's already been convicted of multiple murders and only began talking to law enforcement after his life sentences were upheld. In other words, he obviously felt he had no other options to try to regain his freedom, which makes him look very desperate. He was someone who killed for money, and according to his own words, status among organized crime. The problem with him as a witness, and something the defense lawyers will hone in on, is in the initial police reports, Silva minimized his role and denied knowledge of certain murders, as well as who ordered them. Subsequently, he now places himself at certain crime scenes, and not only did he identify additional participants, but gave details about who approved the hits, names that he provided months up to years after his initial cooperating. As negotiations between his lawyer and authorities advanced, the clearer his motives became, or as defense lawyers will say, his memory improved as the incentives did. The defense will naturally compare all police interviews, handwritten notes, and any audio or video statements and look for discrepancies. One of the key points in cross-examining Silva will be something he tried to do after being incarcerated, something that he admitted to, which was hiring a hit team for $100,000 to kill crime reporter Daniel Renard, who covered Silva's trial extensively and at times was the only reporter present in the courtroom. The plot was never carried out, and authorities only learned of it from Silva himself when he began cooperating. The defense will tell the jury that not only did Silva commit crimes in the past, but continued to have violent thoughts while incarcerated, and viewed the reporter as a threat and tried to silence him. They'll say he feared the true facts coming out, like he's doing now on the witness stand, minimizing his role and pointing the blame elsewhere. Also, that lying comes natural to him, and violence is second nature. The prosecution will more likely than not request that the judge exclude or severely restrict this evidence and state that it's highly prejudicial and can taint the jury's opinion of Silva. If they win this argument, a jury may only hear that he engaged in conduct that showed ongoing criminal intent. which is extremely different than hearing that he tried to have the journalist killed. If the defense wins and is permitted to question him about it, his credibility takes a major hit. More crucially, it'll be something that will stick in the minds of the jurors and will absolutely leave a negative mark. If the judge rules for the defense, I believe it to be a major victory. Anything to help discredit a witness is always beneficial to the defense. If a jury looks at Silva as a killer who will say anything to get himself from under 4 life sentences, and someone who admitted to trying to kill a journalist, they'll disregard any of his testimony. So it'll be interesting to see how a judge rules on the issue. Additionally, his criminal past will play a big role. Arrests that include assaults, possession of weapons, threats against rivals and witnesses, drug trafficking, murders, and attempted murders. He's considered by law enforcement as a high-level hitman for Montreal's organized crime. On May 24, 2017, Silva was at a bar with friends. One of the guys he was with inappropriately touched the wife of Daniel Somoza Gildia, another bar patron. A fight ensued, and everyone was thrown out of the bar. Outside in the parking lot, Silva approached the man and shot him several times, killing him. In February of that same year, February 21st, to be precise, Silva tried to kill mafia boss Salvatore Scopa by firing several shots at him, also in a parking lot. Scopa was only hit in the arm and survived his injuries on that day. Rizzuto was not charged with the attempted hit on Scopa, so the defense will bring out how Silva acted as a hitman by ambushing and trying to kill Scopa. But more importantly, and by his own admission, have participated in no less than 65 unsolved murders. Silva also admitted to ordering a murder in February 2019 while at the Montreal Detention Center. He did so by using a contraband cell phone. Gang member Franz Lewis was shot and killed in his car on November 19, 2020. This information is crucial to the defense. Again, it goes to Silva's character. Even prison couldn't prevent him from committing crimes, which included a murder. In my opinion, Silva carries way too much baggage that defense lawyers will gladly help him unpack in front of a jury. For the most part, juries will judge a person, a witness, by not only how he or she conducts themselves, but by what the person has done. Nonetheless, there's been plenty of trials won by the prosecution who put on extremely shady witnesses, so it could go either way. A good defense lawyer wants to expose a witness like Silva for exactly what he is. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a like, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this, or more importantly, help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below, or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly mention my blog, also called Sit Down News, especially for those of you who still enjoy reading. The site can be found at sitdownnews.com and is a paid subscription. Being Leonardo Rizzuto was a registered lawyer up until his past June arrest, he'll be able to assist the defense lawyers. And I'm sure he's biting at the bit to sit back and watch Silva get cross-examined.